My name is Ivy, I'm 32 years old, and this Christmas morning changed everything I thought I knew about my family. Standing in my childhood living room in suburban Denver, surrounded by twinkling lights and the smell of cinnamon rolls, my mother dropped those words like ice water. We sold your Tesla, the silver Model Y I'd worked 3 years to afford, gone. But it was her next sentence that shattered 20 years of carefully constructed lies. Before I share what she said next, I'd love to know where you're watching from this holiday season. Please like and subscribe if family secrets resonate with you, because this story goes deeper than a sold car. The drive from San Francisco to Denver usually takes about 15 hours, but I spread it over 2 days, stopping in Salt Lake City to break up the journey. As I merged onto Interstate 80 in my silver Tesla Model Y, I felt that familiar mix of excitement and dread that always accompanied trips home. The car hummed quietly as I set the autopilot, my mind wandering to what awaited me. My family lived in Cherry Creek, one of those Denver suburbs where every house looked like it belonged in a Christmas movie. 2-story colonials with perfectly manicured lawns even in December. The kind of neighborhood where people actually knew their mailman's name and kids still rode bikes to school. It was picture perfect on the surface, which pretty much summed up my entire family. Catherine, my mother, was 58 and still selling real estate like her life depended on it. She had this way of making everything sound better than it was a skill that served her well in her profession. Her blonde hair was always perfectly styled, her makeup flawless, even at 6 a.m. She believed in appearances above all else, something she'd drilled into me since childhood. My father, James, had retired 2 years ago from his position as a senior banker at Wells Fargo. At 60, he'd developed this habit of spending his days in his study, supposedly managing investments, but mostly I suspected avoiding my mother's constant chatter about open houses and commission rates. He was a quiet man, the kind who expressed love through firm handshakes and deposited checks rather than hugs and words. Then there was Dylan, my younger brother at 28, currently grinding through his residency at Denver General. He'd always been the golden child, following the path my parents had carefully laid out pre-med at Colorado University Medical School at Johns Hopkins, and now back home for residency. Everything had always come easier to Dylan, or at least it seemed that way. As for me, I was the one who'd broken the mold. Instead of law school or medical school, I'd chosen marketing, eventually landing at a tech startup in San Francisco. 6 months ago, I'd finally been promoted to marketing director, complete with a salary that made my father raise his eyebrows when I'd told him. The Tesla had been my reward to myself, purchased after my first bonus. 3 years of saving, of skipping vacations and living with roommates longer than I'd wanted, all for that beautiful piece of engineering sitting in my garage. The car meant more than transportation to me. It represented independence proof that I could make it without my parents' constant oversight and unsolicited advice. Every time I slid into that driver's seat, I remembered the look on my mother's face when I'd first pulled up in it 6 months ago. Surprise mixed with something else I couldn't quite identify. Now driving it home for Christmas, I felt like I was wearing armor. The Salt Lake City stop had been refreshing. I'd grabbed dinner at a small Italian place downtown, charging the Tesla at a nearby supercharger while I ate. The waitress had asked about my holiday plans, and I'd given her the standard answer, heading home for family Christmas. She'd smiled and said how nice that must be. I'd smiled back and agreed, not mentioning the knot that had been growing in my stomach since Thanksgiving. The second day of driving took me through the Rocky Mountains, the Tesla handling the elevation changes smoothly. Snow dusted the peaks, and the winter sun made everything sparkle like a greeting card. I'd stopped at Vail Pass to stretch my legs and take a photo for Instagram. Home for the holidays. I'd captioned it, adding a Christmas tree emoji. Within minutes, my mother had liked it and commented, "Drive safely, sweetheart. Can't wait to see you." Arriving at my parents' house always felt like stepping back in time. The same wreaths hung on the same hooks. The same inflatable Santa stood guard on the lawn, although he looked a bit more deflated each year. My mother had strung lights on every available surface, turning the house into what my father called a fire hazard, and what she called festive. I pulled the Tesla into the driveway behind Dylan's practical Honda Accord. Before I could even turn off the car, my mother was at the front door waving enthusiastically. She was wearing a Christmas sweater with actual jingle bells sewn onto it. My father appeared beside her, coffee mug in hand, his expression unreadable as always. "Ivy, darling, you made it?" My mother's voice carried across the yard as I grabbed my suitcase from the trunk. She hurried toward me in her slippers, pulling me into a hug that smelled like sugar cookies and expensive perfume. Over her shoulder, I caught my father's eye. He nodded once, his version of welcome home. "The Tesla looks good," he said, approaching slowly. "How's it handling the winter driving?" "Great, actually. The all-wheel drive makes a difference." I watched as he circled the car, inspecting it like he might have found some flaw I'd missed. My mother's hand was on my arm, pulling me toward the house. "Dylan's inside dying to hear about your promotion. Come in, you must be exhausted." But as we walked away, I noticed her glancing back at the Tesla, that same strange expression crossing her face. She caught me watching and immediately brightened her smile, but something felt off. The house smelled exactly as I remembered cinnamon pine and that specific scent of central heating that meant home. Dylan emerged from the kitchen, looking tired but genuinely happy to see me. His hug was brief but warm. "Hey sis, how was the drive?" "Long but good. How's the residency treating you?" He shrugged, dark circles under his eyes, telling the story better than words could. "You know, saving lives, drinking too much coffee, the usual." Dinner that night was my mother's traditional Christmas Eve spread: honey-glazed ham-roasted vegetables and enough side dishes to feed twice our number. We sat in the formal dining room, the good china making its annual appearance. Conversation flowed in familiar patterns, my mother dominating with stories from her real estate adventures, my father occasionally correcting minor details, Dylan and I exchanging glances when she embellished too much. But something was different. My mother kept checking her phone, something she usually forbade at dinner. Each time it buzzed, she'd glance at it quickly, her face tightening before she'd return to her story. My father was drinking more than usual, refilling his wine glass 3 times before dessert. And Dylan seemed nervous, his leg bouncing under the table, a habit from childhood when he was hiding something. "So Ivy," my mother said, setting down her fork with deliberate precision, "tell us more about this promotion." "Marketing director? That's quite impressive." I launched into the safe territory of work talk, describing my new responsibilities, the team I now managed, the campaigns we were developing. But even as I spoke, I noticed my parents exchanging glances, some silent communication passing between them. "And the salary must be good." My father said, his tone casual, but his eyes sharp, especially with San Francisco prices. "It's comfortable," I replied carefully, "enough to finally stop living like a college student." "The Tesla must have been expensive," my mother added, her voice light, but something underneath it making my skin prickle. "It was an investment. Good for the environment, lower maintenance costs long term." "Of course, dear, of course." The conversation moved on, but that undercurrent remained. After dinner, we gathered in the living room for our traditional Christmas Eve movie. My mother had chosen It's a Wonderful Life, which felt almost too on the nose. As George Bailey discovered what life would be like without him, I caught my mother staring at me, tears in her eyes that seemed about more than the movie. Around 11, I excused myself, claiming exhaustion from the drive. As I climbed the stairs to my childhood bedroom, I heard my parents' voices from their room, low and urgent. I paused on the landing, straining to hear. "We have to tell her," my father was saying. "Tomorrow," my mother replied. "After Christmas morning, let her have one more normal Christmas." "Catherine, this is wrong. We don't have a choice anymore." I continued to my room, my mind racing. "Tell me what wasn't normal about this Christmas?" I lay in my childhood bed, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars I'd stuck on the ceiling in middle school, unable to shake the feeling that something was about to shatter. My phone buzzed. A text from Dylan. "Sorry about tomorrow." Before I could reply, he'd sent another "wrong chat, ignore that." Aboyim. But you can't unsee words like that. I stared at my phone, typing and deleting responses. Finally, I wrote back, "What's going on?" The typing indicator appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then nothing. Sleep came eventually, fitful and filled with dreams, where I was driving my Tesla, but couldn't control where it was going, my mother's voice on the radio giving directions that made no sense. I woke at 6:30, the house still quiet. Out of habit, I padded to the window to check on my car, maybe clear any snow that had fallen overnight. The driveway was empty except for Dylan's Honda. My Tesla was gone. My first thought was that I'd parked it somewhere else and forgotten. But no, I distinctly remembered pulling in behind Dylan, remembered my father walking around it, my mother's strange looks. I threw on my robe and hurried downstairs, checking the garage. My parents' cars were there, but no Tesla. Panic started building in my chest. Had it been stolen? Should I call the police? I grabbed my phone to check the app to see its location, but the app showed no vehicle connected to my account. That was impossible. I'd been checking it throughout the trip. "Mom, Dad," I called out, my voice echoing in the quiet house. No response. I found them in the kitchen, already dressed, coffee made, sitting at the breakfast table like nothing was wrong. Dylan was there too, staring into his mug like it held the secrets of the universe. "My car," I said, breathless. "My Tesla. It's gone." My mother set down her coffee cup with careful precision. "Sit down, Ivy." "I don't want to sit down. Where's my car?" "Please, honey, sit." Something in her tone made my legs weak. I sank into my usual chair, the one facing the window where I used to watch birds at the feeder. "There's no easy way to say this." My mother began, her real estate voice gone replaced by something I'd never heard before. "We sold your Tesla." The words didn't make sense. They floated in the air between us like impossible things. You can't sell someone else's car. It's in my name. It's mine. "We had the spare key from your last visit," my father said quietly, not meeting my eyes. "The one you gave us in case of emergencies when you were here for Thanksgiving. The dealer came this morning at 5. I'll sign some." My mother continued, each word carefully measured. "The paperwork. We forged your signature." "I'm sorry." The room spun. This had to be a joke. Some elaborate Christmas prank that would end with them surprising me with a newer model or something. "You're joking. This is a joke." "It's not a joke." Dylan finally spoke, his voice cracking. "They needed the money." "For what?" I stood up, the chair scraping against the floor. "For what possible reason would you steal my car?" "For my medical school loans," Dylan said, but my mother cut him off. "That's what we told Dylan," she said, and now tears were rolling down her cheeks. "But that's not the truth." My father's head was in his hands. Dylan looked between them, as confused as I was. "Then what?" I demanded. "What could possibly justify this?" My mother took a deep breath, and the next words changed everything. "The money isn't really for Dylan. It's to pay back what we stole from your college fund 20 years ago." The silence that followed was complete. Even the refrigerator seemed to stop humming. I stood frozen, my brain trying to process what I'd just heard. "My college fund," the words came out as a whisper. "Your grandmother, my mother, she left you $200,000 when you were 12. It was supposed to be for your education." My mother's voice was steady now, like she'd rehearsed this. "We were the trustees." I sank back into the chair, my legs no longer able to hold me. $200,000. Your father's business venture, the restaurant franchise, you remember. You were 13. It failed. We were going to lose the house, everything. The money was there and we thought we could replace it before you needed it for college. But you didn't. I said, the pieces clicking into place. All those rejection letters from schools I knew I should have gotten into. Being told I'd just missed the full scholarship. The financial aid that never quite covered enough. "We told you the scholarship fell through," my father said, finally looking up. "We said the financial aid was all you qualified for." "I worked 3 jobs," I said, my voice rising. "I lived on ramen for months. I donated plasma. The memories came flooding back. Choosing between textbooks and food. Sleeping in the library because my roommate's boyfriend was always over and I couldn't afford my own place. Walking everywhere because I couldn't afford a bus pass. We watched you succeed despite it all," my mother said, like this was something to be proud of. "You were so strong, so determined." "While Dylan got everything paid for," I said, turning to my brother. "You knew." He nodded, unable to meet my eyes. "They told me when I started college. Said it was because I was pursuing medicine, that it was a better investment." "A better investment," I repeated, tasting the bitterness of the words. "So you all knew. This whole family knew, except me." "We were trying to protect you," my mother said. "From what?" "From having an education without debt. From eating regular meals. From not having to choose between a winter coat and my phone bill. From the shame of knowing your parents were failures," my father said quietly. "So instead, you made me think I was the failure, that I wasn't smart enough for the good scholarships, wasn't qualified for better aid. That was never the intention. I turned down study abroad because I couldn't afford it. I turned down unpaid internships that would have changed my career trajectory because I needed to work. I almost dropped out sophomore year because I couldn't make rent." "But you didn't," my mother said. "You persevered. That's not the point," I screamed, surprising everyone, including myself. "You stole from me. You watched me struggle and said nothing. And now you stole from me again, selling my car to what eased your guilty conscience." "There's more," my mother said quietly. More, what else could there possibly be? That's not even the worst part, Ivy. My father stood abruptly. Catherine, stop. She doesn't need to know. She does, my mother insisted. It's time. Know what? I asked, my voice hollow. My mother looked me straight in the eyes. Your grandmother is still alive. The words hit me like a physical blow. I actually stumbled backward, catching myself on the kitchen counter. The room seemed to tilt, and for a moment, I thought I might pass out. That's not possible, I said. She died when I was 13. I was at the funeral. I saw the casket. It was closed, my mother said quietly. You never saw her body, because you said she was in a car accident, that it was too traumatic. There was no car accident. I looked at Dylan, desperate for him to tell me this was all some sick joke, but his face was pale, his eyes wide with his own shock. He was just learning this too. You told me she died, I said, my voice breaking. I mourned her. I grieved for years. I still visit her grave every time I'm home. That grave is empty, my father said, his voice barely audible. Where is she? The question came out as a whisper, then stronger. Where is my grandmother? Willowbrook Senior Living, my mother answered. It's about 40 minutes from here in Aurora. She's been 40 minutes away for 19 years. My legs gave out completely, and I slid down the cabinet to sit on the floor. 19 years. Dylan moved toward me, but I held up my hand to stop him. I needed space. I needed to understand. Tell me everything, I demanded. Every single detail. My mother sat down at the table, suddenly looking every one of her 58 years. When your grandmother found out about the missing money, she was furious. She threatened to press charges to have us arrested for theft. She had every right to. So you killed her, I asked, hysteria creeping into my voice. Metaphorically speaking, we convinced the family she had dementia, my father said. Started telling everyone she was getting confused, making false accusations. We had a doctor friend who helped us get her declared incompetent. You had her committed like some Victorian nightmare. It wasn't like that, my mother insisted. The facility is nice. She has her own apartment, activities, medical care. Prison is still prison, even if it has activities, I shot back. She tried to contact you, my mother continued. Multiple times over the years. Letters, cards, phone calls. We intercepted everything. My birthday cards, I said, remembering. Every year until I was 13, she sent me a birthday card with a $20 bill. They just stopped. They didn't stop, Dylan said quietly. I saw them in Mum's desk drawer, stacks of them unopened. My mother glared at him, but he continued. I found them when I was 16. Mum said grandmother was sick, that the cards would confuse you. How long have you known she was alive? I asked Dylan. He couldn't meet my eyes. 2 years. I was doing a rotation at a facility in Aurora and saw her name on a patient list. I thought it was a coincidence, someone with the same name, but... You've been visiting her. I said, not a question, but a realization. He nodded. Every week when I can, she asks about you every single time, shows me pictures of you she's somehow collected. Newspaper clippings from your high school graduation, your college achievements. I don't know how she got them. And you never told me... Mom and Dad threatened to pull my medical school funding if I did, said it would destroy the family. But grandmother, she's been saving everything for you. She changed her will recently, leaving you everything. That's why you needed money suddenly, I finished. You found out about the will. Her lawyer contacted us last month, my mother admitted. Said she wanted to video call with you for the reading of the will. That she was claiming we'd kept you from her illegally. We panicked. So your solution was to steal my car to pay back part of what you stole before. We thought if we could show we were making amends, paying you back, it might help legally. Make it seem like a family misunderstanding rather than theft and fraud. Fraud, I repeated. That's what this is. Fraud, theft, elder, abuse, kidnapping, basically. We're your parents, my father said. We made mistakes, but we love you. Love? I stood up, rage giving me strength. You call this love? You stole my education fund. You lied about my grandmother dying. You kept me from her for 19 years. You watched me struggle and suffer. And now you've stolen my car. That's not love. That's control. That's abuse. Everything we did was to protect this family, my mother said. To protect yourselves, I corrected. Every single decision was to protect yourselves from consequences. I pulled out my phone, started recording. Say it again. All of it. Ivy, what are you doing? My father asked. Getting evidence. Now tell me again about stealing my college fund and faking my grandmother's death. Stop being dramatic, my mother said. Put the phone down. Dramatic, you stole $200,000 from me. You've essentially kidnapped my grandmother for 2 decades. You've built our entire family on lies. I'm being exactly the right amount of dramatic. If you expose this, you'll destroy everything, my father said. Our reputation, Dylan's career, everything we've built. Everything you built on lies, I said. It deserves to be destroyed. Think about what you're doing, my mother pleaded. Think about the family. The family. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. What family? The one where you all knew the truth except me. The one where my struggles were entertainment while Dylan got everything handed to him. The one where my grandmother has been imprisoned while I thought she was dead. It's not prison, my mother insisted again. Can she leave whenever she wants? Can she contact whoever she wants? No, then it's prison. Dylan stood up. I'll take you to her. Dylan, no, my mother said sharply. I'm done with this, he said. I'm done lying. Ivy deserves to know her grandmother, and grandmother deserves to see her before... Before what? I asked. She's not well. Her heart. The doctors say maybe 6 months. 6 months. The rage was replaced by desperation. She's dying, and you were going to let her die without me knowing she was alive. We were trying to fix things first, my mother said weakly. I'm leaving, I announced. I'm going to see her right now. My parents moved to block the doorway. You can't keep me here, I said. I'm not 13 anymore. I'm not dependent on you. Please, my mother said, tears streaming. Let us explain more. Let us make this right. Make it right. How could you possibly make this right? Give me back 19 years with my grandmother. Give me back my college years without debt and stress. Give me back the trust I had in my family. We're still your parents, my father said, his banking authority voice emerging. You're being emotional. Take some time to think. I've had 32 years of thinking, of wondering why I never quite fit, why there were so many gaps in our family history, why no extended family ever visited. That's because we told them all to stay away, Dylan said quietly. After grandmother was put in the facility, Mum and Dad told everyone she'd turned the family against them with her dementia accusations, cut off anyone who questioned it. The ancestry DNA test, I said suddenly. Last year you panicked when I said I was doing an ancestry DNA test. Said it was a waste of money, that we already knew our heritage. We were afraid you'd find relatives who knew the truth, my mother admitted. My ex-boyfriend Marcus, the one who ghosted me 3 years ago. You did something. My parents exchanged glances. We may have told him you had mental health issues in your family, my father said. That it was hereditary. He was getting too serious asking about family history. The job in New York, the one that fell through at the last minute. We couldn't have you that far away, so my mother said. We called them, said you had commitments here you couldn't break. You've been sabotaging my entire life. We've been protecting you, my mother insisted. From what? From success, from love, from family. From leaving us, she finally admitted. We knew if you became too independent, if you moved too far away, eventually the truth would come out. So you kept me close and miserable instead. You're not miserable. You have a good job, a nice car, had a nice car. That I bought myself despite everything you did to hold me back. I pushed past them, heading for the door. Where are you going? My mother called. You don't have a car. I'll get a ride. Ivy, please, it's Christmas. I turned back one last time. Christmas. You want to talk about Christmas, every Christmas. For 19 years, my grandmother has been alone, thinking I abandoned her while I thought she was dead. There is no Christmas in this house. There never was. It was all just another performance, another lie. Dylan grabbed his keys. I'll drive you. Dylan, if you do this, my mother warned. What? You'll cut me off too. Go ahead. I'll take the loans. At least I'll be able to look at myself in the mirror. We walked out together, leaving my parents standing in their perfect house, with their perfect decorations, their perfect life, built on 19 years of deception crumbling around them. The ride to Willowbrook Senior Living was silent for the first 10 minutes. Dylan drove while I stared out the window at the Denver suburbs, passing by each decorated house, a reminder of the facade I'd just escaped. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I should have told you, Dylan finally said. The moment I found out, I should have told you. Why didn't you? He gripped the steering wheel tighter. I was a coward. They said they'd pull my funding, yeah, but honestly, I was also afraid of losing them, of the family falling apart. The family was already apart. We were just acting out a script Mum wrote. I know that now. He glanced at me. Grandmother. She's amazing, Ivy. Sharp as ever. She remembers everything about you. Tell me about her. The real her, not Mum's version. She's funny. Sarcastic. She does crossword puzzles in pen and corrects the newspaper when they get clues wrong. She plays poker with the other residents and wins most of the time. She's been taking computer classes and learned how to use Facebook just to try to find you. She looked for me on Facebook. Every day. She has a fake account under a different name because Mum monitors her real one. She found your profile but was afraid to reach out in case Mum found out. This is insane. This whole thing is completely insane. She never stopped fighting to see you. She hired 3 different lawyers over the years. Mum and Dad fought every attempt. We pulled into the parking lot of Willowbrook. It looked nice enough from the outside, like an upscale apartment complex with manicured gardens and a fountain in front. But I couldn't shake the feeling that it had been my grandmother's prison. Room 247, Dylan said. 2nd floor. She doesn't know we're coming. Will they let me in? I called ahead while you were packing, added you to her visitor list, told them you were her granddaughter who'd been living abroad. We walked through the lobby past a decorated Christmas tree and residents playing cards in a common area. It seemed pleasant normal even, but all I could think was that my grandmother had spent 19 Christmases here while I thought she was dead. The elevator ride felt endless. When we reached room 247, I stood frozen outside the door. I can't, I whispered. What do I say? How do I... Just be yourself, Dylan said gently. That's all she's ever wanted. I knocked my heart pounding so hard I was sure everyone could hear it. Come in, a voice called. A voice I thought I'd forgotten, but that immediately brought tears to my eyes. I opened the door and there she was. Martha, my grandmother, sitting in a chair by the window, a book in her lap, looking exactly as I remembered, but with silver hair instead of brown. When she saw me, the book fell to the floor. Ivy, she whispered. Hi, Grandma. She stood slowly, her hand over her heart. Is it really you, not another dream? It's really me. She crossed the room faster than I expected, pulling me into a hug that felt like coming home. She smelled like lavender and vanilla, just as she always had. We both sobbed, holding each other like we might disappear if we let go. My beautiful girl, she kept saying. My beautiful, brave girl. When we finally pulled apart, she cupped my face in her hands, studying me. You look just like your mother did at your age, before she became what she became. I know everything, I said. About the money, about what they did to you. Oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. I tried so hard to reach you. Dylan told me. He said you never stopped trying. She looked at Dylan, then standing awkwardly in the doorway. Thank you for bringing her. We sat on her small couch, my hand in both of hers, neither of us willing to break contact. Tell me everything, I said. From your perspective. She sighed, settling back, but not letting go of my hand. I found out about the missing money when you were 13. I'd wanted to surprise you for your birthday, set up a special account you could access at 18. When I went to transfer some funds, I discovered it was all gone. What did you do? I confronted your parents immediately. Your mother broke down, told me about the failed business. I might have forgiven them if they'd been honest from the start, but the deception, and then their solution was even worse. Making everyone think you had dementia. It started small, your mother telling family friends I was getting confused, then escalated to claims I was making wild accusations. They got Dr. Morrison, an old family friend, to sign papers saying I was showing signs of cognitive decline. Within 6 months, they had me declared incompetent and placed here. But you could have fought it. I tried, but every lawyer I hired was told I had dementia and was paranoid. Your parents are convincing and your mother knows everyone in Denver. They made me seem like a crazy old woman making up stories. For 19 years, the first few years I fought constantly. Then I realized it was using up my energy and resources. So I decided to wait, to hope that someday you'd learn the truth. I saved every penny I could. I hired a private investigator to keep track of you. She stood and walked to her closet, pulling out a large box. Would you like to see? Inside were photos, newspaper clippings, printed social media posts. My high school graduation program, a photo from my college paper when I'd won a marketing competition. My LinkedIn profile printed out. Years of my life documented from afar. This is incredible. And creepy, but mostly incredible. She laughed, the sound exactly as I remembered. I know it seems stalkerish, but it was all I had of you. These birthday cards, I said, pulling out a stack. Dylan said Mom has the ones you sent me. One every year. Christmas too. I never stopped hoping one would get through. I found a photo of me from 2 years ago at a work event I'd posted on Instagram. How did you even find this? My computer teacher helped me set up a fake account. I check your profiles every day. You seemed happy, successful. It gave me hope that despite everything you were okay. I was okay, but I could have been more than okay if I'd had my education fund. If I'd had you. Don't let bitterness consume you, she said gently. I spent years bitter and it nearly destroyed me. You succeeded despite them, not because of them. That makes you stronger than any of us. Dylan said you're sick. Her expression softened. My heart's not what it used to be, but seeing you now it feels stronger than it has in years. How long do we have? Doctors say 6 months, maybe more, but doctors have been wrong before. I'm going to get you out of here. That's complicated legally. Your parents are still my guardians. Then I'll fight them. I'll get lawyers. Ivy, she interrupted gently. I don't want to spend whatever time I have left in courtrooms. I just want to spend it with you. Then I'll visit every day. You live in San Francisco. I'll figure it out. I'll work remotely. I'll do whatever it takes. I'm not losing you again. She squeezed my hand. Tell me about your life. The real version, not what I've pieced together from the internet. So I did. I told her about college, the struggles and triumphs, about my career starting at the bottom and working my way up, about the relationships that had failed partly thanks to my parents' interference, about the Tesla and what it had meant to me. They sold it this morning, I said, to start paying me back, they claim, with money that was already yours. How typically Catherine. She shook her head. Your mother was always clever with justifications. How did she become this way? Fear, I think. Fear of poverty, of failure, of being ordinary. She grew up with very little, and I think she promised herself she'd never be poor again. But somewhere along the way, that drive became something darker. And Dad? He loves her more than his own integrity. Always has. He'd follow her into hell if she asked. And Dylan? A good boy caught in an impossible situation. I don't blame him. Much. We talked for 3 more hours until a nurse came to remind us about dinner time. You could join me, my grandmother offered. The food's actually decent on Sundays. I'd love that. Over dinner in the facility's dining room, she introduced me to her friends, her face glowing with pride. This is my granddaughter Ivy. She's a marketing director in San Francisco. The other residents were warm, welcoming. Several mentioned they'd heard so much about me over the years. It broke my heart, thinking of my grandmother talking about a granddaughter who never visited, not able to explain why. After dinner, Dylan drove me to a hotel. I couldn't go back to my parents' house. What are you going to do? He asked. I don't know yet, but I'm done pretending everything's fine. They'll try to convince you to come back, to keep quiet. I know. Mom's already texted me 12 times. Block her. I did. He paused. I'm sorry, Ivy, for everything. You were a kid too when this started. But I wasn't a kid when I found out the truth. No, you weren't. I looked at him. But you brought me to her today. That counts for something. That night in my hotel room, I finally looked at my phone. 47 missed calls from my mother, 23 from my father. Text messages ranging from apologetic to angry to desperate. I deleted them all without reading. The next 3 months were a whirlwind of legal consultations, family warfare, and precious moments with my grandmother. I hired an attorney specializing in elder law who was appalled by what my parents had done. This is textbook elder abuse, she said, reviewing the documents I'd gathered. Combined with fraud and theft, your parents could face serious charges. But pressing charges would mean putting my grandmother through depositions and court proceedings. After much discussion, we decided on a different approach. We filed for a change in guardianship with me taking over my grandmother's care. My parents fought it, of course. They hired their own lawyers, claimed I was being manipulated by a woman with dementia. But my grandmother's current doctors testified she was completely sound of mind. The staff at Willowbrook provided 19 years of records showing she'd never exhibited signs of cognitive decline. The ace in the hole was the recording I'd made of my parents confessing everything. When their lawyer heard it, he advised them to settle. In the end, we reached an agreement. I would become my grandmother's guardian. My parents would pay back the stolen college fund, with interest totaling $350,000. In exchange, I wouldn't press criminal charges. The Tesla insurance paid out since it had been stolen technically. I used that money to put a deposit on an apartment in Denver, a 2-bedroom place, just 10 minutes from my grandmother. My company in San Francisco was incredibly supportive, allowing me to work remotely indefinitely, given the circumstances. My team even sent flowers to my grandmother, which made her cry happy tears. We moved her out of Willowbrook on a sunny Tuesday in March. She didn't have much to pack. 19 years in one room doesn't allow for much accumulation. But she insisted on bringing the box of photos and clippings about me. "This kept me going," she said. "I'm not leaving it behind." Her new apartment was bright and airy, with a view of the mountains. We spent the first day just sitting on her new couch, looking through photo albums I'd never seen, learning our family history that my parents had hidden. "Your grandfather would have loved you," she said, showing me a picture of a man with kind eyes and my nose. "He died when your mother was 20, long before you were born. I think losing him so young broke something in her. That doesn't excuse what she did. No, it doesn't. But understanding sometimes helps with healing." My grandmother was an incredible roommate. She cooked elaborate dinners, teaching me family recipes my mother had never bothered to share. She introduced me to her new neighbors, proudly telling everyone I was her granddaughter. She even joined an online poker game with some of my co-workers during a virtual happy hour. Her health improved dramatically those first few months. Her doctor was amazed. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it," he said. "She's like a different person. She has something to live for now," I replied. Dylan visited weekly, bringing medical supplies and checking on her health. Our relationship was slowly healing, built on his genuine remorse and commitment to making amends. "I'm paying my own loans now," he told me one evening. "Took out proper student loans like I should have from the start." That must be tough. Not as tough as knowing I benefited from money that was stolen from you. My parents tried reaching out numerous times. First with apologies, then with guilt trips about destroying the family, then with anger about the financial settlement. I didn't respond to any of it. 6 months after that Christmas revelation, they sent a letter through their lawyer requesting a meeting. My grandmother encouraged me to go. "Closure is important," she said, "even if it doesn't end in reconciliation." So I met them at a neutral location, a coffee shop downtown. They looked older, diminished. My mother's perfect appearance had slipped grey roots, showing designer clothes replaced with simple separates. "You look well," she said stiffly. "Living with truth tends to do that." "We want to apologize," my father said. "Properly this time." "Okay, apologize." They did, at length. Taking responsibility, acknowledging the harm, expressing remorse. It sounded genuine, but then again, my mother had always been a good actress. "We're in therapy," she added. "Individual and couples. The therapist says we have a lot to work through." "That's good. We'd like to work toward reconciliation, eventually, if you're open to it." I thought about it for a long moment. Maybe, someday, but not now, and not until you've done the work to understand why you did what you did. "We understand we hurt you." "No," I interrupted. "Not just that you hurt me, why you thought it was acceptable to hurt me, why you chose to protect yourselves over protecting your daughter, why you were willing to imprison your own mother for 2 decades. Until you really understand that and change it, we have nothing to discuss." I stood to leave. "Ivy," my mother called. Is she happy?" "She's free," I replied. "We both are." 1 year after that Christmas morning, my grandmother and I hosted our own Christmas dinner. Dylan came bringing his new girlfriend, who didn't know our family history and didn't need to. Some of my grandmother's friends from her poker group joined us. My team from work called in via video chat from San Francisco. We didn't have elaborate decorations or expensive presents, but we had truth, laughter, and genuine love. My grandmother made her famous apple pie, burning the edges just slightly like she always had. Dylan and I did dishes together, finally feeling like actual siblings. "I got you something," my grandmother said, handing me a small wrapped box. Inside was a car key. "Grandma, you didn't..." "It's not a Tesla," she laughed. "It's a used Honda, but it runs well, and it's yours. Actually yours that no one can take away." I hugged her tight, both of us crying a little. "Besides," she whispered, "we need a reliable car for our road trip this summer." Road trip. I have a list of places I've wanted to see for 19 years. You're taking a sabbatical, and we're going to see them all. She was right. That summer we drove across the country in that Honda, visiting the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, the beaches of California. She told me stories about my grandfather, about my mother as a child, about our family before it broke. She lived another 2 years beyond what the doctors predicted, long enough to see me start my own marketing firm, to meet the man I would eventually marry, to dance at Dylan's wedding where we were both welcome, but my parents were not. When she finally passed, it was peaceful in her own bed with me holding her hand. She left me everything, not just money, but photo albums, jewelry, and most importantly, letters she'd written to me over those 19 years apart. One for every birthday and Christmas, telling me about her life, her hopes for me, her unwavering love. The last letter, written just days before she died, said, "My dearest Ivy, they stole 19 years from us, but they couldn't steal our love. You found me despite their lies, fought for me despite the cost, and gave me the happiest years of my life. The Tesla they sold was just metal and batteries. What they really gave you was freedom from their deception and the chance to know true family. Thank you for choosing truth over comfort, love over convention, and me over them. All my love, Grandma." Looking back now, 5 years after that Christmas morning, I can see how that moment of loss became my greatest gift. My mother's second sentence didn't just reveal what she'd been hiding, it revealed who I could become when freed from their web of lies. I still drive that Honda my grandmother bought me. It has over 100,000 miles on it now, many from our road trips together, and I'll keep it forever. Sometimes I park next to Teslas in parking lots and smile, remembering how devastated I was to lose mine. That car was never really about the car, it was about proving I'd made it despite everything. But real success isn't about what you drive, it's about who's riding with you. Dylan and I have built a genuine relationship based on truth and mutual respect. He's become an excellent doctor, one who treats his patients with the same compassion he learned from confronting his own moral failures. He still carries guilt, but he's transformed it into purpose. My parents and I have begun the slow work of rebuilding. After 3 years of therapy, they've started to genuinely understand the depth of their betrayal. We meet once a month for coffee, carefully supervised emotional visits, where we practice being honest with each other. It may never be a normal relationship, but it's real, which is more than we ever had before. The marketing firm I started with my grandmother's inheritance has grown into a successful business. I named it Truth in Messaging, a daily reminder that honesty is the foundation of everything worthwhile. We specialize in authentic brand storytelling, helping companies strip away false facades and connect with their audiences through genuine narratives. I married someone who knows my whole story and loves me, not despite it, but because of how it shaped me. Someone whose own family welcomed me without question, showing me what unconditional acceptance looks like. When we bought our first house, my parents offered to help with the down payment. I declined. Some gifts come with too high a price. The stolen college fund, repaid with interest, went into a trust for future generations. It will be protected, managed by an independent trustee, ensuring no family member can ever again steal from another under the guise of protection or love. Every Christmas morning, I wake up and think about that moment in my parents' kitchen, the destruction of one life and the beginning of another. My mother saying, "We sold your Tesla," thinking she was confessing to a simple theft. But that second sentence about the college fund started an avalanche that revealed decades of deception. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the best discoveries. My parents stole my car, my education fund, and 19 years with my grandmother. But in revealing their theft, they gave me something priceless, the truth. And with that truth came freedom, genuine love, and a grandmother's blessing that no amount of money could buy. The Tesla was just a car, the money was just paper. But the moment my mother added that second sentence, she gave me my real inheritance, the chance to build a life on truth rather than lies, love rather than manipulation, courage rather than fear. That Christmas morning, I lost a car, but found my grandmother. I lost my family's false harmony, but gained my own authentic voice. I lost the illusion of safety, but gained the power of truth. And that trade, that's one I'd make again in a heartbeat. To everyone watching who's carrying family secrets, who knows something isn't right, but can't quite name it, who feels trapped in someone else's narrative, remember this: the truth might hurt, but living a lie hurts more. Sometimes losing everything you thought you had is the only way to find what was truly yours all along. My grandmother waited 19 years for me to learn the truth, but she never stopped believing I would find my way to her. Your truth is waiting for you too. Don't let anyone, not even family, especially not family, keep you from it. The Tesla they sold that Christmas morning was silver and sleek and represented everything I thought I wanted. The Honda my grandmother gave me is simple and used and represents everything I actually needed. Freedom, truth, and love that doesn't come with conditions. Every mile I drive in, it reminds me that the best gifts often come disguised as losses. That family isn't about blood, but about choice. and that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the thing that saves you. That second sentence my mother spoke that Christmas morning, it wasn't just an admission of guilt. It was the key to my freedom, and I've been driving toward my truth ever since. What family secrets do you carry? Have you ever discovered something that changed everything you thought you knew? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe to this channel where we share real stories of overcoming betrayal and finding truth. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that there's life, beautiful, authentic life on the other side of family deception. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, your truth is worth more than their lies. Merry Christmas to all of you building honest lives from broken foundations. You're not alone.